You're a dick.
Hope you weren't on a kill streak there, Mr. Threat.
I was decidedly on the opposite of a kill streak.
Well, good. Because now we can do whatever this thing is that we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally moved my monitor over so that when I'm looking at you, it probably looks like I'm mostly looking at the camera.
Yeah. It's a little creepy, honestly.
Well, just staring into your soul, Mr. Threat.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of staring into your soul, Microsoft revealed their soul yesterday with $29.1 billion in revenue for Q1 fiscal year 2019 or Q3 calendar year, and about $8.8 billion in net income, or as I like to call it, almost a Nokia. Well, more than a Nokia.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
how quickly the company can recover from Nokia.
Apparently, it's about
We're
one
down
quarter.
to 1 quarter. That's pretty good.
So, on the Office 365 side, there's 155 million commercial customers, about 32.5 million consumers, that is. Dynamics 365 revenue grew 51%. Gaming revenue was up 44%, with hardware alone up 94%, which is obviously a huge number, but they even called out and said, hey, the year ago was a pretty soft quarter, so you can blame the Xbox One X for that massive increase there, which is obviously a good thing. Xbox Live is up to 57 million monthly active users. And on the Surface side, another $1 billion quarter. That is 5 quarters in a row that Microsoft has had a $1 billion laptop quarter, and someone should write a book about that.
I was reading an article about the Amsterdam subway being built right now, and there's a book about it called Beneath the Surface.
Yep. And now you know why it's not called Beneath the Surface. It's beneathasurface.com.
Yeah, so I usually do my takeaways from Microsoft earnings on short takes on Friday, and I will still do that this week. They actually announced this a day early, which is a little weird.
Yeah, it totally threw me off. I was like, tomorrow's Friday, right? This will be good. And it's not.
But the two things that I've taken away already, I guess, if you will, one is that, and I haven't listened to the post-earnings call yet, and there's a lot more information that will be in there. One is that Azure revenue has slowed for the first time. I believe it was hitting at about 100% year over year in prior quarters, and I think it was down to 76%. I want to say off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's correct.
Which is still, phenomenal. But perhaps a sign that market is maturing somewhat. It's still growing, obviously, at a heady clip. That's fine. And then the second one was that for the first time ever, Xbox One X sales outstripped those of Xbox One S. Although, actually, that wasn't from the earnings. That was from MPD. So that's probably U.S. only. But still an interesting milestone.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind on the Azure revenue, the law of large numbers, that the larger the number gets, the harder it is to grow on a percentage basis. And so, in theory, they could actually have added more revenue in the quarter than previous years, but at a lower percentage. So, just to keep that in mind. So, as we say every quarter, Microsoft appears to be doomed. We're just going to wrap it up here. And, they're going to take
if only they had that phone business going again, they might stand a chance. But I guess we'll struggle with what they have.
I don't even know. I was thinking too, what is it, Canalysis or whatever that said Microsoft will get out of the Surface hardware business in 2019. Was that what it was? Or 20?
It's creeping up.
Yeah.
And then we can lump them into the same category as IDC, which claimed for years that Windows Phone was going to overtake iPhone at whatever point in time. We're still waiting for that.
Yeah.
It could still happen, I guess.
The only true casualty that we actually care about is the death of live tiles, because those things are
useless on a computer.
Yeah, and they're basically just a billboard for advertisements in the start menu now. So,
yeah.
Anyways, other things that Microsoft said during the earnings call actually was that they said over 50%. So I'm assuming that's 50.01% of its commercial customers are now running Windows 10, which means approximately 49% are still running Windows 7 or potentially 8, which I don't think is too many.
Mostly 7.
But you've got about ballpark at 14 months to get your butt off of Windows 7. It'll be interesting to see if they can move 49%
allow me to predict that this will never happen, and that some double-digit percentage of those businesses will be paying extra for Windows 7 support after January 2020. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. I mean, that's a behemoth task for all those
Yeah.
companies to move.
Sure.
And yeah, in 14 months.
Invading Normandy in 1945, or I guess it was 44, was easier than getting these guys to upgrade to a new version of Windows. So
Interesting analogy.
just trying to think of major efforts, like going to the moon in the 1960s. Easier. Getting Skype to stop annoying me every day.
There we
Easier. Just trying to think of mammoth, earth-shattering events that are easier than getting the enterprise to move to Windows 10.
Moving on. Windows search is no longer gonna suck apparently in the next version of Windows, and it will actually index all of your content rather than just random bits and pieces. And so I'm looking forward to that because it will actually be nice to find the documents that I'm searching for.
I mean, you must remember this. Back in the mid 2000s, 2004, 2007, somewhere in that time frame, both Microsoft with Longhorn first and then Vista, and Apple with Mac OS X Tiger or whatever version.
Yeah.
We're talking up this search capability built off the start menu in Microsoft's case. And that's what it was going to do. It was going to index the whole drive. You could search for anything. Over time, it was going to add like internet search, which of course we have today. There were virtual folders. Remember, there's all this stuff, like these advances that were going to happen. That was like 12 years ago, or actually 15 years ago. It's weird to me that this stuff, we're still talking about this. The next version of Windows 10 is going to have all that stuff they were talking about in 2003.
It's going to be great. It's going to be. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, at one point Google released their own, it was like desktop search utility for Windows.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I had forgotten about that. Yeah. That was a big thing. You want to find your files. What a notion, Well, look, I really prefer Windows to the Mac by a wide margin, but one of those things that Apple does get right that I really like is that it's like Command spacebar and the Spotlight search thing comes up in the middle. You start typing and you get the results. We have something like that, obviously, in Start Search. But, I feel like we've taken a multi-year diversion here with Cortana, which went nowhere. And now we're kind of segregating or separating maybe Cortana from what used to be Windows Search and what will once again be Windows Search. And maybe it's going to return to its thing. But, if you think about let me just type something here, like So you get this kind of preview window now in the Start menu. And you get this separation of like apps, settings, security in this case for some reason. I assume documents would be in here if I typed something that wasn't what I just typed. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but God, actually, this tab's along. This is so convoluted. This is terrible. I don't understand this thing. I don't know. We'll get there.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because I don't know.
No, I'm not sure, but I have to I got to ride this one out. I have to believe they're working on it and they're going to get it right again. I don't know. No.
I mean, yeah. It at some point someone's going to get really frustrated and just fix this, and I can only
remember
hope.
when we did this? It was like Jim Alchin was still running Windows when we were talking about this. This is a long time ago. Nobody? Okay.
Yeah.
Just.
Well, speaking of other things that companies are doing regarding updates, Google is finally going to get serious about Android updates, or at least security updates, and requiring that new vendors are going to have to sign a multi-year contract, which is basically saying, hey, if you buy a device, it's going to get security updates for 2 years. I feel like we've been down this road about 17 or 18 times where Google's getting serious about updates and maintaining older versions of its software.
This time they're serious. Well, actually, this time it's in a contract, so maybe it will eventually happen. But my second Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus arrived this morning, and aside from its terrible color, it's not gold, it's copper. I'm kind of disappointed in that.
Yeah,
it's
that's kind of a.
Can't really see it very well, but it's not as.
It's a good
weird.
color
It looks
gold. Paul,
golder
is have you seen this one?
I know. I have seen that one, and I love that color.
It's just making sure.
Anyway, we're going to cover it with a case and pretend it doesn't exist. But anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, so one of the big criticisms of Samsung in particular is the security update thing, and then the OS update thing as well. And one of the nice things about the Pixel line, in particular Google's phones and Android One phones now, is that they are updated regularly, and they're updated every month, and it kind of erases that joke about Android updates. But it's real, and this is something that needs to be addressed. I mean, these days, in our world, we're complaining a lot about Microsoft and Windows 10 updates, and there's sort of this general understanding that maybe, the security update thing has been very successful, I think, for Microsoft. We get these monthly updates. The biannual feature update thing has been like a shit show. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it's just been a disaster. So Android doesn't even have that. It's not, you're not only not getting Android P or whatever, but you're also not getting the security updates that Google shipped back in May. And it is a big problem.
It is, and hopefully this will be good. One thing I wanted to bring up, because somebody pointed out yesterday, which is a little ironic, or whatever you want to call it. So Tim Cook and obviously all those guys, we talked privacy quite a bit yesterday, if you didn't tune into that episode. And then somebody pointed out, said, yeah, Tim Cook's messaging and platforming and positioning is all great for everywhere but China, where they just kind of roll over like a dog and say, here you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, but the thing about that is, everyone does it. Microsoft's doing it too. And the problem I have with someone bringing that up is they're bringing it up because they hate Apple, and they're looking for some way to worm in a complaint while he's making a stand for the right thing. There's not much you can do about a totalitarian regime, you could elect to not do business in that country, and then you would be fired because you run a publicly held company that has to make money. It's the biggest market in the world. So, yeah, it's cute to kind of, cart that out. But Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, whoever you want to name, if they want to do business there, they have to make certain concessions. There's this, I can't help people in China, but one observation I've made about Apple is that really what you're buying there is the hardware. And were I to choose an iPhone today, I said this yesterday, I'm sure, I'm not going to be buying iCloud storage. I'm not going to be using Apple's blah, 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 whatever it is. I don't use any of that stuff. I would use the hardware. People in China have whatever choices they have. Apple, as a company doing business in China, has whatever choices they have. So yeah, I don't know what the constraints are in iCloud or whatever he's complaining about, but everyone falls in, there's nothing you do about that. I can't help. I'm sorry, China. I don't.
It's Paul's fault.
We can't help. We can't help you there. It's just the way it is.
It is.
You live in the Western world or elsewhere on the planet. They're still the best company on earth when it comes to privacy, period. They just are the biggest tech company anyway.
Yep. Actually, even Google was, there was a bunch of pushback for things called Project Dragonfly, which is what they want to ship in China. And their CEO was like, yeah, we're going to do it.
This is a country that has a rich history of being terrible. So
I had no idea.
Well, in the nascent days of the PC industry, by which I mean through 5 years ago, it's probably still true today. You could walk around markets in China and buy counterfeit Windows disks and Office disks and Photoshop disks, back when that's how software was shipped. And guys, I've heard many stories from Microsoft guys who've gone to China. They come back with piles of this stuff, and you've seen some of the public stuff they talked about. Remember the counterfeit stuff on the disks was kind of a big deal, and we don't really care about the disks too much anymore. But they're just, it's like riding a bike, Brad. They're just carrying that into the 21st century. So,
do you ever think China would get on a tandem bike with us?
No, but I bet we could ride a tandem bike on the Great Wall one day. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I would be all about getting on the Great Wall, but I don't know about a tandem bike.
The bike part of it. There are things blocking you from going over the side, probably.
When they built that wall, they were not thinking, well, there is no OSHA.
Two goons from the United States were going to come here and have nothing to do with saving them from the Mongols. Yeah, they weren't thinking that. That's true.
Oh man, I don't even know what else is going on. Amazon did some Alexa stuff. You shouldn't have said that.
Super interesting. Yeah.
Amazon did some Echo stuff that makes it easier for businesses to tie in and just kind of walk all over what was going to be Cortana's stomping ground. And
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really look too far into this, but they announced this thing for business a year ago, and now they've extended to third-party compatible smart speakers and other devices. And that's smart. You know, I have nothing to say there, but you look at that and you're like, wow, now there are businesses that have an incredible collection of Amazon compatible smart devices they can use. And what do we have on the Microsoft side?
$50 invokes.
Yeah, get them while they can last at Best Buy, which is how the enterprise buys things. So that's good. Send Bob down with some petty cash. Pick up a couple of
just grab the
invokes.
cardboard box on the way out and just
Get one of those Vizio displays and an Invoke, and it'll be just like having a Surface hub. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Oh, and then the only other thing that is some sort of relevance, the service we love to hate, known as Twitter, made some money, and they kicked some people off, and they're still terrible, and I still hate it, and I still use it every day.
Yeah, I think I referred to them as a cesspool that promotes ignorance, hate, and threats of violence. So yeah, you can see why we're both active members of this community. It's it's also kind of the big, the big social networks. It's kind of the smallest one by far, right?
Oh, by a substantial
an order of
margin.
magnitude. Yeah, Facebook is 2.2 billion active monthly users. Instagram has over a billion. And Twitter is somewhere around, I don't remember the exact number, 325, 330.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if Office 365 commercial seats will ever surpass Twitter's user base.
They could. What are they at now? Like 135, something like that?
No, 155.
155. That's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, maybe one day, Consumer Plus commercial at least. Sure.
It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. You got anything else for today, Mr. Thurrott?
No, I'm not sure what to write, if anything, about some of these devices I'm getting in. Like I reviewed the S9 Plus months ago. In fact, I wrote a really long 3-part review. I went back to read what I wrote about it, and I was like, why didn't I keep this thing? It sounds awesome. Actually, I know why, but it's beautiful though. I mean, I just, in using it, just kind of getting it set up, and you set up the fonts and the look of the screen and everything. It's like, yeah, I know. I remember this is, and compared to the Pixel's like it's like an Edsel from the past. This thing is like thin and light and beautiful and elegant and gorgeous screen. And then this other thing's over here farting away, like not saving photos. I don't know what the frick it's doing. It's just
farting away.
Useless. It's making stupid sounds. I don't know.
It just all right.
Yep. How about you, Brad? What's
well, my phone is not farting away, not saving photos. I can promise you that. Not a whole lot, actually. Not a whole lot. So
I took the Pixel 3 XL on the walk today. Took a couple. Post some pictures. They're beautiful photos. And I switched to the camera app from Audible the first time, and the audio shut down. After that, it was actually fine. So I took subsequent photos, and I went back and forth between Audible and the camera app. It was fine. But that first time, off, and it's, I'm sure they'll fix it.
Sure.
Not sure I'll be around to see that happen. That's my only thing.
Pixel 3, the Skype of phones.
Yeah.
They'll fix it eventually, maybe. Hopefully.
I hope so.
Yep. So, all right, folks, so that wraps it up for today. Today is Thursday, so we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for a live show. You can find that at thurrott.com/live. And have yourselves a wonderful Thursday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.